What is up, everybody? It is the return of me because I've been gone for a minute. And now I'm back. So I'm back. Anyways, if you haven't noticed, I have not been posting on YouTube for a while, for a few weeks, maybe a month. I've been very inconsistent. Not the plan, but we're just gonna do a quick channel update, by the way, at the beginning of this. But basically, what's going on right now is I am in the process of trying to prepare some videos to post. That's the best, easiest way to describe it. So I'm trying to get a bunch of videos put together so I can have some consistency with my posting. So I've been working on a few things with that. Outside of that, I've also been working on some new music things, experimenting, exploring new sounds, new ideas. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing today on this live stream. So if you're looking at the title, you should see that it says making electronic R&B. So you might not know what that means. Basically, I've been trying to figure out how to label what I generally like to make and how to mix the two things that I like, that I'm trying to create, into one specific thing. So I found out that there is a subgenre, we'll call it, of electronic music and R&B music called electronic R&B, which tends to use more electronic sounding beats, but it's R&B music. And that's kind of the direction that I'd like to head in musically. So as a result, I am just labeling what I do electronic R&B. I'm not necessarily drastically changing up how I produce and what I'm making, or at least what I've been making for the past few months. I'm just figuring out how to label it for SEO purposes, because even though you don't have to label things for creativity, for search engine optimization you kind of do. So I guess I am an electronic R&B producer, artist. Yeah, and that's it. Anyways, with all that being said, we're gonna go ahead and start working on some things. We have some music playing in the background. I have my ice right here. Wait, oh, it says it on the back too. So I got my ice right here. I'm acting like they sponsor me, but they don't. But they should sponsor me. But we're gonna go ahead and get into some music. Oh, before we do that, I'm sure you're noticing this random thing over here and have no clue what it is. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of things that have changed. For example, my keyboard cam is now my gear cam. I just got an Ableton Push over the weekend. So I have my Ableton Push right here. I have my electronic synthesizer right here. And I have my Native Instruments Complete Control keyboard right here. So this is my current setup right now. I'm actually kind of happy with it. We're gonna play around with some different camera angles, see if we can get a good view of this area of Gear Town, as I'm gonna call it. For all the gear stuff that I have up here, this is kind of dusty. You can see that on camera. We're gonna pretend like that's not a thing. It's not dusty. It's a low quality camera. That's what we're going with. But anyways, with all that being said, we are going to go ahead and start working on some tracks. So let's go ahead and fade out my live stream music playlist a little bit. All right. And we're going to start with some new things. I also just got Ableton Live Suite. So I have like a whole bunch new stuff. Something that I've been experimenting with is Max for Live. They have this plugin called Granular 2. So this is for granular synthesis. Basically, if you don't know what that is, it is basically, let me fix that camera real quick. But it's basically the concept of taking tiny grains of sound and chopping them into even smaller pieces and breaking it up and building something bigger out of it. So that's kind of what I've been experimenting with. And that is the direction that I'm kind of heading in sonically, I guess I'll say. Yeah, so I think I should be, boom. Okay, now I'm centered. Cool, we're good. So this is it right here. I wish I had a way to like highlight this. But over here is granular synthesis. So we're just going to take a song and drop it in here, or a sample. So we'll go to my, let's go to one of my, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with one of my Soul Surplus sample packs that I have. I got a lot of nice piano samples from them. I think I like this one. Yeah, so we drop that in here, and then so that's kind of how it functions. It sounds a little like that. It's basically just taking tiny grains. We can control how many grains. So it's taking bigger samples right now. We can actually get it to the point where it's taking such tiny samples that I can basically make it its own instrument. Like that. So I think that's pretty cool. But that's not what we're going to be doing. I figured out how to make it where it won't touch the pitch. So we got that. So what I've been doing is I've been turning down the control of the key, so I don't want the key to change the pitch of the sample. What I want it to do is change the... I want it to change the foul position. But I do want a lower pitch. We're going to change the release. So I do like that, but I don't know if that's gonna be electronic R&B, but I do like that. That sounds very dark and menacing for whatever reason. So I like how that sounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and record that. So we're gonna jump over here. We're just gonna need the BPM. So let's see. We'll try 140. I think 140 should work. So here's how I've been using my Ableton push as of late since I did that. I've been actually building in my clips view more lately. So, for example, instead of being over here in this arrangement view, I'll be in the clips view, and then I'll just kind of build my samples and my clips in this area. So right now I think we're going to do a 2-bar loop. So I have a 2-bar loop set up, and basically what I will do, actually I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to arm this track. It's already armed. So I'm just going to I did that wrong, actually. I'm still learning how to use this thing, so bear with me as I figure this out. So, let's see. I need the metronome one. I don't know why. I think my sustain pedal's confused. So let's undo that. Oh, okay. So I see what's going on. I need a bigger. So I actually do need a 4-bar length because I'm faster, so. There we go. So we don't need that. We're going to quantize it. And then if we jump over to my actual Ableton session, now we have my MIDI tracked, and I can make some changes here. So this is kind of what I have been functioning, just kind of jumping back and forth between my push keyboard and laptop screen, which seems over excessive for how most people create music, but it's how I've been creating music as of late. So, oh well, I guess. I also don't know if you can hear me well or not. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. So let me check the audio on this real quick and see how it sounds. Let's see. So we are on my iPad real quick. You can't see what I'm doing, but believe me, I'm on my iPad. Is my live stream not going out? It's unlisted. What the heck? Can I change? Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna find out if I can change this, because I've been live streaming to no one this whole time. Public. Publish. Cool. Is my live stream here? Ah. Okay, now we should have the live stream going, so I should be able to hear myself. Okay, so if you're just now joining, I spent like the first, I don't know how long of this live stream talking to myself because apparently my live stream was unlisted. We make mistakes every day. Insert ads to enable. Oh, they let you like trigger ads? That's crazy. I did not know that was a thing. That must be a new feature. That's crazy. So anyways, for people that are new to this, just joining because I thought I was streaming to someone, but apparently I was streaming to no one. I'm working on a beat right now. I have this, I'll explain this because it sounds very crazy at the moment. So what I'm doing is granular synthesis. So I'm using a piano sample and I throw it into this granulator 2. And it's just playing different parts of the sample. And I can kind of do so I can do different things with it like that by just changing settings. So this is like the rough idea for what I'm going to be making. And if you don't know, also because you missed my whole explanation about what electronic R&B is, it's basically what I've been making in the first place, but it's just a label that I found out existed. And I figured I'd use it because of search engine optimization. So that's what I'm labeling this, electronic R&B. So we're gonna go ahead and add a new track. So we're gonna come over to the push real quick. We're gonna add a track. It's gonna be a MIDI track. I think it's gonna be drums. So we're gonna go through some drum options that I have. I can make that drum pattern work. I have ideas for that. Loading track 3. Cool. So we're gonna go to the note. Gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna go ahead. Okay, so we got that. We're gonna add in our snare now, which I think should be right here. That I hate it. Boom, boom, boom. I think this is gonna be it. I don't know if that's not gonna work. We're gonna move down there. Boom, 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 boom. I think we're gonna keep that pattern for the second half too. We're gonna add a stutter kick there, but then Okay, so this is the main body of the drums. This is part of why I like the push 2. Let me go ahead and correct this. So now we have this in Ableton. This is my drum pattern right here. But what I'm about to do is actually tweak it using the push, because I'm very hands-on and I want to swing my drums and have them have a little bit more groove. I'm gonna actually leave the hi-hats where they fall. But what I'm gonna do for those is I'm gonna come down here. Is it gonna show it? I can only do an overall track delay, so that's not gonna work. We're just gonna make it work. We're gonna do it on the fly. So I need to figure out how to make this show up better. Let me see. No, that's too bright. No. Okay, that's better. You can actually see the screen. So basically, we're about to edit these drums real quick. So I want them to have a little bit more swing. So we're gonna start with the snare. I've been putting my snares a little bit ahead. So I'm gonna hold down on that, zoom in, nudge about 9% on that one, 2% on that one. And then we're gonna jump over to this page. No, not that sound. Did I just put that in? I did. I put that somewhere. There it goes. I need a better stand, honestly. So if you're watching, I want to hear from you. What vibe are you guys feeling? Are you liking this vibe? It's supposed to be electronic R&B. We haven't gotten to the electronic part of this, because it's an organic piano sound, but it's like an electronic sample in the way that I flipped it and things like that. But let me go ahead and finish nudging these a little bit up. So 3% for that one, snare there, and about we'll do 5% for that one. I wonder if there's a select all button for this, for like just selecting an entire sound. Yeah, it is chill and also kind of dark. I might have a problem with liking darker sounding vibes. Actually, I don't know if that's a problem. It's just the vibe that I typically end up gravitating towards. Let me make this chat a little bigger so you can actually see what you said on the screen. There we go. Hey. Okay, cool. I'm glad you guys are liking this. I might change the hi-hat a little bit, because I just want to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to have to actually do that from Ableton, so we're going to jump over here. I'm going to have to highlight the sounds, because I'm not going to really, I'm going to keep them with the same 16th note and not really swing that drastically. I'm actually just going to let me get rid of that. Let me crop this. So what I'm gonna do for the hi-hats is just move them all back a little bit. And now it has like this weird, it has a little bit of a different bounce now. And I like to put my kicks a little bit behind the beat too. What software do you use to make your beats? Also, why isn't the chat showing up on the screen? Ah, my gosh. Oh, because the production overlay is hiding. There we go. What software do you use to make beats in? I'm just gonna do these super, like, ultra manually with a mouse. I'm kind of like cross and stuff, where I'll do some things with the push right now and also with the keyboard. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I have a stream deck over here, so I can like just push buttons and like change all my views and stuff. I have way too many cameras for me to be a music person. Not really, but yeah, I'm a music video person, so I can jump between all these really fast because I have this thing that I bought. Sorry to be messing up the actual live stream for that random moment, but yeah. Trust me, it takes a lot of time to be even setting this up. Like, that's why it takes me so long to actually go live, because I have to like change things over so I can actually do it. It's fine. I'm a nerd. I like talking about this kind of stuff, so it's completely fine. So we got that sound. We're gonna jump back up here because I'm gonna be doing more stuff up here. So we're about to add another track. There's gonna be a MIDI track, and you said that you use FL Studio and Akai MPK Mini. Okay, yeah, Akai is cool. MPK Mini. I don't actually have one of those. I have the Arturia Mini Lab. Because I make all my purchasing decisions based off of what software I can get. So I ended up buying that because I got more software. Actually, you know what? This is why I bought the This is why I bought the keyboard that I barely use. So I'm gonna just show you this real quick. I just got this push right here, so I'm still kind of figuring out how to actually like function through it and like navigate. So here we go. So I bought the keyboard that I chose. Keyboard that I bought because of this specific software right here. That should be loading in a second. It's just like a very big software. So this is called Analog Lab. This is version 5. When I got it, it wasn't easy to get it because you had to have the software. You just had to be in the know about it being existing. You had to get a keyboard that came with it. At least that's how I got it. Let me see if I can grab that keyboard. Sorry, I hit the mic. So this is the keyboard that I got. So I don't really use it unless I'm like going somewhere because I don't really want to lug this big one around. But now that I have the push, I might not even be bringing this thing around at this point. All right, so anyways, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a bass. So this software you can also get on Splice, by the way. So you can get it as a subscription model. So that's what I have right now. Because I got the full version. I just got a light version with it. But now I have like the full version of it. Just paying monthly on Splice. It's like rent to own. But I think this is what the bass line's going to sound like. So that's what my bass line is going to be. So we're going to jump over to the session mode. Let me collapse this real quick. Yeah, I can actually show you that in a second after I get this bass line recorded. So, yeah, it sounds so much better in that lower octave. I hit one wrong note, but that's fine. We can fix it over here. That's supposed to be up half step. So I want my quantize amount to be put back a little bit. I'm gonna quantize this, but I don't want it to be. That was a very strong quantize. It wasn't supposed to snap that much to the grid. Let me look it up. Because I still want to have some of that human rhythm to it. No, not fixed length. I need the quantize button. Yeah, there we go. So now you can see when I hit that quantize button, not everything just fell exactly on the grid, which is what I wanted. I wanted it to be a little bit more in time, but not exactly on time. That was a little late. I've been making beats since I was 16, and I'm 27 now, so that's 11 years. I had to do the math in real time, so yeah. So we got our bass line. We're gonna make changing notes and stuff like that is really easy within pretty much any software, but I especially Ableton Live. Something sounds a little late though in my head. There we go, that's what it was. But yeah, thanks for jumping in and watching for a little bit. I enjoyed the conversation. We're gonna make like a counter melody now. Actually, before we do that, I told you that I would show you this software. So let me go to Splice real quick. So this is like a cheat code for just in general. Let me stop this real quick. So this is a cheat code in general. So Splice is my personal favorite cheat code that nobody really knows about. Like, people know it for like the sounds and everything, but something that people don't realize is that you have this rent to own plugins section over here. So literally you just go down here to this rent to own section, and all these plugins can be rented out. I don't know how to say it. You can rent the plugins, and then you can basically get them for a discounted price, and eventually you make all the payments and you come to own the product. And this is how I've been getting a lot of my different software as of late. So like, for example, you can see, where are my plugins? So my plugins are right here. So this is the Analog Lab thing that I was talking about. So I have this software, and it gives me access to that plugin I was using, and then it gives me plugins. It gives me access to a whole bunch of other synth, like analog synth VSTs and stuff like that. Yeah, it's great, and it's rent to own, which is the best part. So let's see. I have serial numbers in here, so I'm probably not gonna. So, but yeah, you can still see some serial numbers or whatever, but we're gonna pretend like you can't see them. But like Retro Color RC20, I got that plugin basically making monthly payments. After a while, you make those payments and then you own it, which is great, and I love it. So that's basically how you can get plugins for where you own them, but you don't have to pay all at once for them, which is a really, really cool feature. But anyways, I'm going to get back to the music real quick, and I need to step away real quick, so just give me 1 second, and I will be right back. had to go to the bathroom and talk to my wife. But I'm back now. But anyways, yeah. What we were talking about. We were talking about Splice. Yeah, Splice is a cheat code. Highly recommend it. I'm actually going to be referencing it in a video that I'm going to be putting out whenever I get these videos shot. I'm writing multiple videos right now so I can have like a consistent release of videos. But you mentioned that you were having trouble getting into music production, so I'm just curious. I'm blocking it. If I could see my mouse, that'd be great. I use Ableton Live. So I have a combination of Ableton Live and this push right here. So this is where I'm kind of controlling everything right now. I just got this, but it controls Ableton Live. So hope I answered your question, MP. So I have this really cool sound in Analog Live that I'm going to use real quick. So let me add it real quick. So we're going to load another instance of Analog Lab real quick. No problem. Glad I can always answer questions about my stuff that I spend a bunch of money on. So yeah. So there's this really dope Mellotron piano sound in here that I really like using. So I'm gonna throw that in here. I think it's this one. So with that being said, since you're a beginner, are there any specific videos that you'd be interested in learning? Because I'm trying to make a list of videos to shoot. So if I can have actual feedback from people that are looking for information on how to do stuff, that'd be great. So I can like make videos that people actually want to watch instead of just kind of blindly aiming and making a video and hoping that people care. Basically tempo. So I guess I can see if I can answer that question right now a little bit on this live stream. So I will admit that I do have some level of music theory at this point that I understand. But I didn't start like that. Basically the way that I actually started with like actually making stuff is I literally was just sampling because I sucked at making original stuff. That's a little early. So what ended up happening was I switched over to Logic for like 7 years or something like that, and it wasn't as easy to sample in Logic. And what that led to is me being forced to get good at making my own original stuff. But I guess where I started with melodies, and this is actually something that I've been like teaching myself too right now to even get better because I've been kind of hitting a creative wall. But I literally just started out by like getting books from the library on how to play piano, for example. So that actually helped me out a lot. And this was before YouTube was the way that it is now, because it was like, if I was 16, it was 2011. So there were some people on YouTube making videos on how to make music, but it wasn't to the extent that you can find any genre, any style, any software um, at the time. Yeah, so I started with books that kind of just taught me. Like, I literally learned how to play a major chord from a book. So, like, I read a book and it was like, oh, the way you play a major chord is by doing 1 3 5 in the key. Somehow I skipped over learning actual keys of songs and like how keys work, but I knew that the C major key was just all white notes, and I could count from there. So I could basically just associate numbers with it. So like a C major chord, like I said, is a major chord is 1 3 5. So if I count, I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So if I count 1 1 2 3, 1 2 3 4 5. If I could actually play the right notes, that'd be great. So now I have my C major chord. And then basically what the book said was like, if you want to play a minor chord, you do the same thing, but you just make the major, you just move the second note down half a step. So you go like that. And then for some reason as a kid, like, and it's probably because I was younger that I was able to like retain this and kind of reverse engineer this a lot faster. But I somehow just figured out, I just kind of figured out like the shape of a chord basically, rather than actually what the chord is. So that's kind of like how I learned to play chords and stuff. And then where that comes into play with actually playing, making melodies, is if you build a chord progression, for example, and we'll actually make a new track. Actually, we'll do this. We'll do this live. So we're gonna make a new track, and I'm gonna make a chord progression. I don't know what I'm calling this, so I'm calling this. I don't know what I'm calling this. I don't know what I'm. Ignore the way I'm typing. I'm in a rush. So the cool thing about learning how to play chords and like then building a chord progression is you can then use all those notes in the chord progression that you make to build your chords. Yeah, it's kind of complicated, but if you just associate it with numbers, it makes it a little bit easier to understand. Um, and maybe would be better, like, and maybe I can do a whole video kind of just breaking this down. Like, for me, the thing that works a lot is thinking about it logically, and that doesn't work for everybody. Like, for me, like, if I can see the pattern and I can see the logic behind what is happening, a class or I have considered it. I haven't made that something that I make available at this point in time, but I was considering something like that with my Patreon, or my members of for Patreon members or members of my channel, as I start to build that out, because I'm trying to figure out what I can do for people that would give them some kind of value to even like join my Patreon or something like that. So that was something that I was considering, honestly. But I hadn't actually like landed on if I was going to do it. But if people are interested, then it might be something that I might need to add. And like low key, what I could do, and this is me thinking out loud, but if what I could do for Patreon members is like you have the option to do like a one-on-one class or something a month or something like that. And then like depending on what tier, you can get more classes or whatever. But I'm gonna have to like plan that out a little bit more so I can have a fleshed out idea of how it works, and then also have the time to do it and not like overpromise and under deliver, because I don't want to have people joining. Okay, well, I appreciate that. Right now, like I said, the Patreon's very new. You would be day one, ground zero, first Patreon member, and you will get shouted out in my first video and stuff, like in my next video and stuff like that. But right now, my main goal with my Patreon is to really build a community, and you can even for joining the channel as a member, like I'm trying to figure out how to build a community and how to give people, and how like I'm trying to figure out how to give people value, because I don't want to just like make it a one-way street. You just started this year too? Okay. So yeah, so let's just like do a whole music lesson real quick, and see if I can be a good teacher. And then if you do like my teaching abilities, then maybe we can do some one-on-one lessons. So right now I'm just putting a piano plugin here. It's a very taxing plugin, so it's going to take a second to load. But and then once it loads, it's going to take even longer to actually be able to play sounds. This is what I'm doing. This is just cool, though. I like this, that it lights up. It's very entertaining. But anyways, yes, I do sell beats as well. I have a whole BeatStars page. I think all that stuff should be linked in my in the description of this video. I'm like 95% sure, unless the information that I used didn't have my updated links to all my information and stuff. Okay, cool. So here's what we're doing. So I think that this will actually be better if I keep this on screen, because you can see the piano a little bit better. So let me know if you can see this. If I need to make it bigger, I will figure out how to do that. So basically just starting with like the basic thing of like a key and how to like in like piano scales and things like that. Basically there's 7 notes in a piano scale. We're just going to talk about the major and the minor one because those are the easiest. Those are the most common ones that you'll see in pretty much any, I'd say, popular American music genre, like hip-hop, R&B, pop music, rock. Although rock will probably get a little bit more experimental at times, especially if you get into metal. They're going to be getting into some crazy stuff with music theory. Low-key, I think that metal heads are like music theory nerds, but that's just me. Anyways, but basically the C major scale, which is like the first scale that pretty much I learned, is all white keys, so it's the easiest thing to learn. So as long as you know where the C note is it going to react? Okay, so it's not going to show over there. We're just going to jump over here. So right here, you have your whole piano, blah, say, blah. So you have like your C major scale, which you can see right here also. Yeah, I haven't really taught anybody how to do this, so this is like me doing a test run right now to see if I can really teach it and have people understand. If it seems like it works, then it will be something that I seriously consider offering for people. But a C major scale, that's the sound. It's all white notes. So if you know where C is, then that is helpful. But C, basically, there's a pattern to how pianos work. So you have all of the, like, these clusters of notes, like 7 notes right here, that are all, that repeat again right here. So the lowest note on this piano is the C note. You can tell that it's C because you have these 2 black keys right here, and then you have these 3 black keys down here. So that's the C note. With that, then we can kind of figure out how to make a C major scale. So we basically just count the next 7 white notes on the piano to get our entire major scale for the key of C. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're back to 1. Or if you want to get into jazz, that's 8. It gets complicated when you start talking about jazz and stuff like that. So when you associate them with, when you associate numbers, yeah, it's that's why I start with the C. That's why I'm starting with C major. It's the easiest one to learn. So you have all these white notes right here, and they basically all just repeat over and over again on the piano. So then if you associate a number to each of these notes, that makes it easier to build chords. So if we start with this note being 1, the C note, then obviously the next one will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then if we wanted to build a major chord, like I was saying, a major chord is 1, 3, 5. So that's the first note, the third note, and the fifth note in the key of C. So we have our one note, and we have 1. So that's 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5. So you play those all together, you have a C major scale. Not scale, you have a C major chord. It sounds happy, which is great. So that's kind of where I started with learning how this all works. And then I just kind of built on top of that. So then, like I was saying, if you want to do a minor chord, then it's basically the exact same concept, except instead of doing 1, 3, 5, you do 1 and then a flat 3 and then a 5. And minor chords are a little bit more confusing. There's one that I can show you guys real quick. But we'll just stick with the C major, with the C minor chord scale first, because it's gonna start including some of these black keys, so it starts to get a little bit harder to remember. Even for me, like I said, I've been doing this for like 11 years, and I still am really bad at actually remembering how to play a minor scale. But also, I'm taking piano lessons right now, so I can get better at playing piano, because I just figured that it would help me break out of like my creative rut of playing the same thing over and over again. So I think this is a minor scale. Wait, oh. Okay, cool. So now I know what it sounds like. So the interesting thing is that you have these different steps that are going to be taken. So if we jump back to the C major scale, there's a pattern that you have for major keys. So the way that major keys work are you have a whole step, so that means that you have a note in between it. So like we have this black note right here. If we go up to that one note, that would be a half step. But going to the next white note is a whole step. And that's because we have to step over a whole piano note to get there. I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe this because it gets confusing. But the pattern for a major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, whole, whole. So if you can remember that and you can kind of just like figure that out like step by step, like okay, like I'm looking at this. So let's say we want to pick a random piano note to start a scale from. So let's go with G. So we're gonna do a G major scale. So once we have that whole, half, whole pattern, we can then take that from the C major scale and move it to anywhere on the piano to figure out a major scale. So, like I said, we're gonna try G, which G is right here on the piano. So the way that works is we had that pattern of a whole, half, whole. Let me see. Yeah, and then we do another whole, and then we do a half to get to back to the one. But yeah, so let me do that one more time. So we have the pattern of that's a whole, that's a whole, that's a half, that's another whole step, that's another whole step, that's a whole step, that's a half step, and that gets us back to the beginning of our piano scale. So now we have that. So it's basically like if you can remember the pattern is whole, half, whole, then you can basically figure out any major scale on the piano. Yeah. I don't know if that made sense. I feel like that may have gotten way too detailed. Just let me know if that was very confusing or not. Yeah. But anyways, like I was saying, I'm going to show you that one trick about coming up with cool melodies with the from chord progressions. While I wait to see if I made people's eyes glaze over by getting way too deep into music theory. So, we're just going to come up with a cool chord progression right now that I like. Let's see. And then if we do that. do. So let's see. That is a. So let's do 3 and yeah, the pattern is the hardest part to learn. Like once you memorize that pattern and just kind of like walk yourself through it a whole bunch of times over and over again, you kind of start to learn it. So let's do. And then I don't like that chord progression, but I mean it technically I guess works. We'll do this instead. We'll do. But I mean, you could even see I keep on messing up. Like I mess up even every time I play every time I try to play a scale. So like once you like I basically kind of work by ear a little bit, but also by knowledge. So for me, like I kind of know the concept, but I'm not really thinking about it because I learned it so long ago. But then also I will just play a wrong note and be like, oh, that's not how it's supposed to sound, and then I'll correct it. So I think. So what did we do? Okay, so we can't do that. What was the chord? Mm. There we go. So this is kind of how I figure out stuff. I just kind of mess around until I find a chord progression. So now I have one that I like. So I'm gonna go ahead and track that real quick. Let's see. And I'm probably gonna swap out that sound too. So let's see. So let's get the tempo. I'm missing the actual button. So we're at 88. That's gonna be our BPM for this. I turned that up too much. 88, metronome on. Okay, so here we go. I don't understand why my computer does that glitch. Oh, I need to jump back over here. So this is the clip view that I like using right now because it kind of works better with the push that I have over here. And if you didn't see what I was doing, actually, let me replay that real quick. I'll play that again. So we'll just undo that and pretend like I didn't just play that. And we'll just do it real quick. You didn't see that. That didn't happen. Island right hand or seeing. Yeah, it like actually playing by ear makes it a little bit easier to figure out for me at least. So that's the pattern that I played. I just wanted to make sure I had that on camera so you could see it. So we're gonna jump over from here. Now we have that. We're gonna shorten that. So we're gonna go ahead and just build a track real quick, and then I'm gonna add a lead melody on top of that using all the same notes that I just played in this part. So we're gonna go ahead and build drums. We're gonna do this the slow way, which is handpick every single individual drum sound that I know I want and just drop it into here. Where are my clap sounds? There we go. So we got that. And then my kick that I like is actually in splice. So let me grab that real quick. My go-to drums. I got a lot of really nice drum sounds. I'm gonna go with that kick. We're gonna add that in too. So I'm gonna get a drum pattern real quick, and then we're gonna do the melody. And I'm gonna swap out that piano sound for something else. So we're gonna jump back over here. We're gonna use a step sequencer. So we're gonna go. Yeah. So we're gonna do the repeat note. Okay. I'm like overlapping hi-hats right now, trying to get the right velocity. Okay. So we got our basic pattern down. We're not doing anything too crazy. So now, I'm glad you like this. So now what we're gonna do is the lead sound. So I'm gonna choose like a synth sound real quick. We're just gonna drop Sarah in. And this I'm actually not even gonna do with the piano. So this is something that you can actually do once you have chords built. This is something you can do without even knowing how to play piano. And I don't know how you do this. I don't ignore that. Why didn't it turn them all off? Oh, I just muted everything. Control Z that. need to copy that over here. I didn't want to actually like take those sounds. Bro, just mute them. What the heck? Okay, so highlight all those, 0. There it goes. So now we have all these notes. I'm just gonna move these right off the grid, right off the pattern. So now what you can do, well, first let me find a good sound to use, but you can basically use all the notes that you use to play the piano chord to build a melody. So if you figure out a chord progression that you make, I'm sure there's a way that you can make FL only show you the chords or the notes that you've played. Because I don't use it. Okay, so we got that. That's gonna be good enough for this. So now literally all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like choose a few notes off of here. I want a smaller grid. I want like that. Oh, that's way too fast. So we're gonna go up. We're just gonna like go up and down. So we're gonna move that one out. So literally all I'm doing, if you look at this, all these notes that I'm doing, I'm just clicking random notes. I have no clue what I'm doing right now at all. But all the notes that I'm playing, let me grab these and drag these back in. So I'm going to make these visible so you can actually see. Like all the notes that I'm playing right now are literally notes that I played somewhere in this melody. So you can see like how they disappear because I played those notes somewhere. So basically, I just figured out the chords, and then once I had the chords, then I basically just told it to only show me the notes that I played in that other melody. I didn't actually mean to get rid of them, but yeah. So it's only letting me see the notes that I played in my chord progression, and now I can just click on random notes and find some random, really good melody based off the notes that I already chose for the rest of the song. Like this is completely random. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of like picked notes, and if I liked it, I kept it. If I didn't, I didn't. Yeah. It like, and if I knew how to use FL, I would tell you what you need to do to have this window, to have it show up like this. But I don't, so let me Google it. Okay, so this is the only one that wasn't technically in the chord progression that I played. It still is the note. It is still in the chord progression, but I just played it an octave higher. It's very different. That's why I don't use it. I don't like FL Studio, to be completely honest with you. I actually have a very strong dislike of the use of FL Studio for myself. I know people that use it and are really dope with it, and I've seen some things that I love about it. But overall, for me, it does not work. And that wasn't the right note either. That wasn't the note that I heard in my head. So we're gonna see if I can find the right note. That note people that own it too. Like one person that I work with a lot, he's really dope. He makes crazy stuff with it. Ah, it's that E note right there. But I'm about to Google it so I can tell. That's the note I was looking for, so that's the E note that I played an octave higher. But let me go ahead and see if I can drag down some information for you real quick. How to. Let me get back to this so I can. How to. Played notes in FL Studio. I know it's piano roll. I know there are ways to change the key, definitely. I just have no clue what I'm doing when it comes to actual FL. I'd have to ask my one friend that knows how, that actually like uses it, to know how you do what I just did. Because basically for Ableton Live, all you have to do is I have my full piano roll right here, but then I have this button that says fold, and all it does is get rid of any notes that weren't played. So it hides every other note on the piano, so it only shows me notes that I've played, which makes my life so much easier if I'm trying to come up with a melody. Keep in mind, this is the first time I've done this way. I've just seen people on the internet do it, and I was like, it makes sense. There can't be a bad note in the chord you played, technically, so why not use those notes as like a reference for what notes you can play in your melody? So, yeah, that's how I came to that conclusion. And then we're just going to change this sound because the piano is kind of boring to me. I like synth sounds, which is why this session was supposed to be electronic R&B music. But now if you use a bad plugin, if you use a bad sound that just has very bad sounding chords, everything might sound terrible though. Yeah, I like that. So yeah, that's basically how you can build a melody using the notes from the chords that you already played. So if you already played the notes and you like how they sound, if you can figure out how to make FL only show you the notes that you played, that to only show you on the piano roll, if you can, I can't speak English right now. Give me a second. Anyway, so if you can figure out a way to get FL's piano roll to only show you the notes that you've played, then you can just click all those notes in a random combination and see what it sounds like. And you might not like everything that you do. Yeah, guitar is nice. I'm actually supposed to be learning to play guitar. I heard myself playing my bass guitar last night, but yeah, I like guitar a lot, honestly. I'm supposed to be getting lessons to play that next. I'm just at a point where I have the funds to be able to pay people to teach me how to do stuff, so it makes my life a little bit easier when it comes to getting past creative blocks. I just go talk to people, and then I pay people to listen to me and then tell me stuff, and then I go home and try stuff that they suggest. And I'm like, oh wow, this changed my whole mind about how I make music. But I actually do like this. I might have to come back to this later. So real quick. So I'm just gonna do a little, not necessarily a heat check per se, but I'm gonna test out some stuff. I've been working on some tracks. Yeah, self learning is useful because like it really like helps you learn things in a way that you can understand it. And that's what I did up until right now. Like everything that I have known up until like last month has been me just teaching myself. Like I had some piano lessons when I was a kid, didn't learn anything, had to read a bunch of books. Went to college for music, for not music. I went to college for business, but then I got a minor in music, but they wouldn't let me learn to play piano because I picked up the minor too late in my time at school. So they made me do vocal minor instead. So I learned a bunch of music theory stuff that made no sense to me, and I did not retain a lot of it, about 97% of it. But the information is just in my mind. So when I went to my piano lessons, I explained my background to my piano teacher, and he was able to kind of just like tell me to do stuff. So he had me get a couple books. Let me grab those real quick. Yeah, but basically, he had me get a couple books, and those are what I'm kind of learning from right now. So then this is only useful if you like have any kind of understanding of like classical music theory. Like you don't even have to like understand it, just like recognize certain stuff. So this isn't for everybody, because not everybody has the same background that I have, where I went to school, so I at least saw what things are supposed to work like when it comes to classical music and stuff like that, and jazz music when you actually write it out. But he had me get this book, and I haven't actually low key looked at it. He just goes to a page in the book and then just starts talking about the page, and I just listen to him, and then I go home and I just mess around with the ideas that he just kind of talked about. But I literally have not opened this book outside of my piano lessons. Um, so, I mean, in theory, only did the snare drum in class school. Okay, yeah. I I didn't have that ability. I was homeschooled, so I didn't have like a band class that I could take. So I really like we had like very shaky piano lessons with some different piano teachers and stuff, but something always went wrong with the piano lessons. Like my first piano teacher was just difficult because she didn't like teaching boys for some reason. I think she thought that that boys were just difficult to teach. So it was just hard to learn from her. And then and this was when I was a little kid. And then the next piano teacher I had was a like she was cool, but then out of nowhere she wanted to charge us for like a piano recital that we weren't even gonna be at. So my mom was like, I'm not paying for that. So she left. And then we like had a friend that was supposed to teach us, but her schedule was too crazy, so we never actually got to like have that many lessons. And this was all before I even turned like 10. So like I kind of did all this stuff. I hated piano at the time, by the way. I didn't like music because not like dislike music, but I didn't like learning music because for me, and I realize this now as an adult that has been making music for the past 11 years, but I would much rather be making my own music than playing somebody else's music. So that always worked against me with piano lessons because they'd be trying to teach me other people's songs. And because I didn't really understand it myself, I just knew that didn't enjoy playing piano because I didn't like learning stuff, and they would try to force me to like read music, and I was like, why am I reading this when it's like Mary Had a Little Lamb? I had that memorized at this point. It's 3 notes, maybe 4 notes, I think. 4 notes, I think. Whatever. Anyways, but now that I'm older, I kind of understand that that's why I had such a lack of interest in learning to play piano, because as soon as I stopped taking piano lessons, like I turned like 13 or something, and I was like, I want to learn piano. I want to make music. And that's when I went to the library and got the book that I got and just started learning a bunch of stuff. This is the other book. This is like a book full of jazz piano songs. I also don't look at this book. I just watch what my piano teacher plays and then just memorize it. So I paid money for the books so I can at least have them so I can look like I care. And then I just watch what my piano teacher does and just copy him and then memorize it and then go home and practice it. So you really don't need the books, is what I'm saying, I guess. Yeah. But anyways, this is something that I wanted to show real quick because this is me testing out some ideas that I have for some stuff that I'm working on. So I have, yeah, I'm gonna play this with the vocals. I have a track that I'm working on. It has vocals on it, but it's like scratch vocals, so they sound crazy. So ignore how crazy I sound. But this is something that I was working on a couple nights ago that I need to finish writing to. If it's gonna play, no, it's not gonna play because it's on outputs. 4, 7, and 8. And I wish I was. Yeah. It is like what I'm learning is like learning anything when you're younger is just so much easier, and I don't even think that it has to do with like the openness to new ideas that your mind has. I think it just has to do with the amount of time that you have and what you're doing. Like I think that being younger definitely makes it easier for it to retain information. But like just like the amount of time that I have to really do anything makes it really hard for me to even practice piano at 27. So like I'm learning, but I'm learning slowly. Like if I was a kid, like I would have a lot more time, and then by the time I'm 20, I'm like I've spent like however many years learning this stuff, so then I can just come up with whatever I want. But I'm not in that point, and I've been making an effort to not really focus on the regrets of my past, but really focus on the opportunities of the present to make my future better. Which sounds super motivational, speakerish, but I don't know. It was a mindset thing that I had to kind of like practice personally so that I could kind of focus on being like, okay, I might not have gotten the same opportunities to like live in a city that has music like that. I can just go to a studio and then just meet somebody, and then all of a sudden at 16 have a record with like a major label artist, or 18 or whatever. But I do have the ability to get better and things like that because yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people need to hear it too. But like it's just like I could literally just spend a bunch of time being mad that my parents didn't raise me in Atlanta, LA, or New York. Or I could just make the decision to make the best of my situation and reverse engineer how to get to where I want to be. And also be willing to change my goals too, because my goals now aren't the same goals that I had when I was like 16 wanting to make music. Like some of the goals have still persisted, and I still think that I have the ability to achieve them, like winning a Grammy. But like goals of being like, oh, I want to be in the music industry by the time I'm married. And like I'm married now. I got married last year, like September of last year. So that goal did not happen. And I'm actually not mad that it didn't happen. Like I enjoy being married. So it's not like the worst possible. It's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. It it's a lot. I think a lot of people, the thing is with the way that the world works, like I feel like we're told that you have to be a certain thing, you have to do things a certain way for you to like achieve success. But success is something that's relative because everybody has their own different definition of success. And your definition of success will also change as you get older. So like to me when I was like saying like I was saying, my goal when I was 16 was or 17 or whatever was to be in the music industry, be successful as a music producer and all this other stuff before I got married, mostly because I wanted to be able to take care of a family off of music, which would be very nice. But at the same time, when I was in college, I met someone that I really liked, and I almost did try to make her wait until I was successful with music to get married, and then I realized I was kind of dumb, so I didn't do that, and we got married. So, yeah. We dated for like 4 5 years, 2017 to 2020. That's 3 4 years or something like that. I can't do math. I barely graduated college because of a math class, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Um, but yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I am actually having a great time talking to people about this stuff and just talking in general, because that's what makes these live streams fun. Yeah, like it's a loophole where to get there. Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing that I realized too. Like the other thing that I realized when it comes to music is that I see a lot of these successful music people, people in the music industry that are successful, at least what I would perceive as being successful, where you're like making music, people are hearing it on a grand scale, things like that. But they're all really bad at maintaining relationships, where they're in and out of relationships all the time, or just singing about heartbreak and people breaking their hearts. And I'm like, I, I don't know. I don't necessarily, I don't regret not being single. Just like trying to do music and be single and out here and all that stuff. Like I met somebody that I really care about, so I mean, like I might as well marry her and not be like, oh, but I'm an artist, so I must be single and focus on my art. That's really dumb, because then I'm just gonna end up being a musical person that's alone and wishing that, yeah, people think. Yeah, like life is really about people, like, and meeting people and like building relationships. And you can do that when you do music, and you can be successful and be single and still do that. But I don't think that I'm glad that I didn't try to resist the idea of a relationship for music, because I don't know, like it like music. I really enjoy music and I really like music, but having that human relationship is more valuable than music. So many people want that. It does nothing but cause more problems. Are you talking about like wanting to like letting their relationships fall by the wayside, or the opposite, where they get the relationships and then don't really get the music? Let me play music while I'm talking about this stuff, so it's not just awkward silence while I'm doing this. Where's my Apple Music? Sha 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 sha. Yeah, it's a hard question. Like you have to really make your choice. Um, but either way, regardless of what you decide, I still think that you should just choose what makes you happy. So, I was speaking on the point of musicians getting their heart broke, being single. Yes, like like we were just referencing Juice World. Juice World, like I know he was in a relationship when he died, but like most of his music was about heartbreak and being messed up and just struggling with life and being depressed. And like, I mean, I definitely was in those kind of places at one point in my life, but I was able to work through those. One, two, um, I ended up I ended up being in a relationship with somebody that did not break my heart, and we got married. So it's like it's something, it's an option, I guess. It's not like being a single heartbroken musician is not the only way. The other thing is, um I feel like it's just hard to get to that point too and maintain healthy relationships, because the amount of effort and time and focus that it takes to actually make a successful music career, like, and make it to like the, what I'll call, refer to as the big leagues, it can be a pretty time consuming task that literally leaves you no room to do anything with anyone else. So it can kind of hurt your relationships at the same time. Not everybody has the ability to balance a relationship and also be doing music. Now, maybe if you grow up in a city where there's already a music scene implanted there, makes it a little bit easier. But I don't know. I'm just speculating. So I know from my personal experience of being somebody that grew up in Ohio, um, and going to college in Indiana, being able to like really make a successful career in music would have required. I know people that have what I would consider successful music careers from Ohio, and the things that they have to do like kind of leave them in like some interesting situations in their personal life. Not really gonna get into any details or anything, but like just like tough relationships. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. Before I got on this live stream, I had a giant wave of depression. I was literally just laying on the floor, being like, I need to do a live stream, but I am stressed, anxious, and depressed, and I did not want to get up here and do this live stream. But I'm actually really glad I did, because this is one of my best live streams that I've had so far. So I'm happy with it. I don't know why I have that on the screen. I should just have this up because we're just chatting right now. But yeah, I'm not saying that being in a relationship fixes all problems. Like I said, I still deal with problems of depression and things like that. Um, but I don't know. I guess just having the ability to have someone to talk to about it does help a lot, because I was laying there, I was laying on the floor depressed, and my wife came over and asked me what's wrong and sat down and talked with me, and like I felt better and it was great, and I was like, oh, like I can actually like express my thoughts, and like where some people would have taken that and put that into a song, that's great, probably would have been a hit song, but um I didn't do that. I just talked to my wife and I felt just as great. So yeah. Yeah. You said low key, low key juice. I'm not sure if you're talking about this or some. Oh, like juice. Mm-hmm. Oh, I get what you're saying now. I'm on the same page. I'm following. I'm following now. I got you. Let me point under the mic. There we go. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, I think that like heartbreak does make good songs, but also heartbreak sucks sometimes. So, but I think as long as you can have a way to express your feelings, that's the best thing. Whether it be through music, and whether it be talking to a significant other, probably a therapist would be a great idea too. But not everybody has access to therapists. I should probably get a therapist. I know I've been told to get a therapist multiple times by multiple people, and I have not done that yet. But working on it, one day, one step at a time. But yeah, just as long as you don't just bottle it up and let it eat away at you, find a way to express it and out and like have an outlet. Whether it be music, whether it be having a relationship, that's the real important thing, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm glad that you agree with me, not because I like echo chambers, but just because I'm glad that I'm relating. I'm glad that this is like connecting with people, because this is literally stuff I think about all the time. Like I'm thinking about all this kind of stuff all the time about like the struggles of doing music and wanting to be somewhere like career wise and not being there, and it causing you stress and anxiety and depression, but also not wanting to let that take away from enjoying the moment. Um, I'm not really a big fan of Gary Vee. At least not anymore. I used to be. Now I'm kind of annoyed by him. But the one thing that I can say, even though I'm not a big fan of him now, that I did get out of all his random rants that were sometimes insane and very mean and rude. Um, Enjoying the process is probably more like really you should just enjoy the process of getting to where you want to be. Like, and it should be more about the journey rather than the finish line. Because like once you get to the finish line, it's like, now what? I'm here. So now you have to make a new finish line to run towards. But if you just make it about like trying to get as far as you can in life with doing things that make you happy, you have a little bit of a different experience. And once again, does not fix everything because, like I said, literally laying upstairs depressed earlier today, even though I'm talking about enjoying the process. Bro, mind block. It's terrible. Like, honestly, if you look at my YouTube channel, you can see the physical manifestation of mind block, of writer's block, of creative block. Because I have not posted consistently. I haven't been posting consistently at all because I'm in a space of being creatively blocked and not knowing what direction I want to go and what I want to do, which is a weird place to be in because I know where I want to go, but I have so many different things that excite me and that I want to do that I just have to pick one and do it. But then picking one means that I'm not doing this other thing that I'm equally excited about, and it's just like a lot of choices for me, and it just stresses me out and gives me anxiety. And then I don't always execute on ideas, or I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then like I go sit down and I'm like, let me make this future-based track, and I make something, and I'm like, this is terrible. Why am I doing music? I'm not a good producer. What is going on? Like, I spent all this money on this gear. Why? Because this is awful. I should just quit. But then I spent all this money, so I don't want to quit. And I just end up in this cycle of just thinking about the stuff that I should have done a little bit and just kind of stress myself out. So, and I can't actually create. So, yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of that right now with like just video creation right now. Music is a little bit different at the moment because I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do, but I haven't really figured it out. Either way, I've come to the conclusion that my 30s are going to be crazy good, but I just don't know in what way, music wise. But yeah, creative block sucks. I'm just gonna say that again. Yep. Like, honestly, if you saw my schedule every day, like it's very packed a lot of times. So I've been working on saying no. For example, um I have a job. I work 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Get off work. And then also I do freelance video editing for podcasts and stuff like that for a company that like does podcasts for clients and things like that. So I do that, and then I'm also trying to do a YouTube channel and also trying to do music, but then also what I'm trying to do in music has 100 different things. So like I want to make beats and sell beats online, but I also want to do sync licensing, but I also want to make my own project. And I'm like, where do I have the time to do all this? And I also want to spend time with my wife. So so it's just like I have a lot of things that I need to do, and it's like I have to choose, and if I choose this thing, then these other things are not going to get done. So it's trying to make the decision about what I'm gonna act on and work on it today. So today I had the choice of doing this live stream right now, or just sitting upstairs and watching TV with my wife, which is what she's doing right now. But also yesterday, I was supposed to have a studio session with the artist that canceled. I had a studio session. Me and my wife did a couple things like reading some books together that she wanted to read. And then I didn't do anything. Like I didn't do anything else productive. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. I think the the thing that gets a little challenging though and all that is when you start questioning your purpose. Because that's where I get to a lot of times as of late. Like just like looking at where I'm at right now and looking at where I want to be and seeing the giant gap of distance of what I need to be doing, and then realizing that I'm not doing all the things that I feel like I need to be doing. So, like for example, one thing that I would really like to do, like that I want my goal to be, is being able to basically make a living from doing stuff like this live stream, YouTube, and music, and just other creative things around that world that just revolve around me being able to express myself creatively. And it can get really... I lost my train of thought, I'm not gonna lie. It was about to be really deep too. Oh my gosh. We were talking about purpose. Oh yeah, so what I want to do, I got back on track. I remembered it now. We're good. We're there. So yeah, so like being like, I know where I want to go, but then also I'm like, okay, well, let me reverse engineer the steps that I need to take. So the steps that I need to take, in some situations, require me to cut down on a couple different things. So like the editing podcast, for example, like cutting back on that a little bit and putting more energy into my own content for my YouTube channel. But the problem is, I get paid for that and I need the money. So it's like I can't just walk away from this because this other stuff isn't paying right now. So I'm kind of stuck working right here in this place that I don't hate it, but it's not what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. Like I don't want to be making other editing TikToks out of podcast for other people's podcasts for the rest of my life. Like it's just something that I know I have the skill to do and I know I can make money from it, so I'm doing it. And I need the money. So yeah, so then like that ends up causing that feedback loop of being like, I need to work harder, and then I want to work harder, but then I can't. Oh, add on to that, I want to actually get in shape too. Like I would like to really be in shape, but then with all that other list of stuff that I just listed, it's very hard to keep consistent with any of that. Like straight up, I tried waking up earlier to be able to go to the gym, like wake up at 6 o'clock so I could go to the gym before work. But then that makes me, it's hard for me to wake up, and I would have to go to bed earlier. And then if I go to bed earlier, that means that I don't have as much time after work to get other things done. So it's like a give and take. So I have to make decisions. So right now, I'm slowly gaining weight and trying to focus on the other stuff. And it's random, but it's a decision. Like it's like all these different decisions you need to make, and you have to make the choice about what's more important. And health probably should be much more important to me than it is, but I'm hoping that this is only a moment in my life that I'm like this, and that it's not forever. I don't know why I'm getting so personal right now, but if that's making people uncomfortable, then sorry about that. But if not, then cool, I guess. But yeah, what I'm about to do real quick though, because we've been talking a little bit, is I'm gonna go ahead and just preview. Like I'm gonna play this track that I was talking about. Time and life for stuff. Yeah. Feel like sacrifice time in life. for stuff is hard part. But to charge your friends for studio time or family members as well. I have a confession to make. I don't really charge people for studio time. I don't even have a studio. Like a lot of times, it's gotten to the point now where people want to pay because they realize that like I've made it very clear that my time is very limited. Yeah, I don't really do a lot of sessions for people. Like I kind of cut back on the amount of sessions that I do for people. I lived in Atlanta for a year and I quickly realized that I don't like doing sessions with people that I don't like their music. And the people that I do like their music but I don't have but I'm not friends with might not like what I do to their music. So then it's kind of like I have to do very generic, straightforward stuff that they like, and they don't give me the freedom to like put some kind of creative spin on it. So I just kind of decided after that was like 2020. I decided like, bro, I don't like doing studio sessions for people that I'm not inspired by their music. And then once I got married, I had to make the decision to cut back on the amount of stuff I was doing. So limiting the amount of people that I work with and how much time I'm working on other people's stuff was something that I had to decide too. So now when people do work with me, they do pay for the studio time because I don't have a studio here. I intentionally like set up this studio space in my house without being able to record vocals for other people. So we go to a studio to record vocals, but because I'm an engineer, it's really cheap. It's like $20 an hour for a session because there's no engineer that they have to pay. So people just pay for the studio time, and then I don't get paid, but we work on music and it doesn't cost me anything. And if they cancel, I have a free studio session, which is what happened yesterday. Don't listen to my... You're talking about me. Not necessarily throwing away the projects, but I have a bunch of like rough ideas that I just have not gone back and finished or completed. We can actually get into one of those right now too. That's a great segue. I like the way you think, segueing into like what I wanted to show. So this is something that I worked on a couple days ago. I want to finish it, so I don't want to be somebody that just like lets this go to some kind of musical graveyard. But yeah. So these are all just mumbles right now.
Feeling all this pressure all around me. People telling lies, I tell the truth.
Thanks. It just actually needs vocals now, so like actual lyrics. But yeah, I kind of just was like messing around like with stuff that I learned in my piano lessons, like just about different chord voices and stuff, and built this. Also from a YouTube video that I had like watched a while ago, and then it finally clicked in my mind like a couple of days ago. So I just kind of played that, and then I was like, okay, I don't want to just play the same 3, 4 chords over and over again. So let me actually try to figure out how to break out of that and go into something else. So I figured out like if I do this, I can go into this and then have this be the chorus. And it sounds cool, and it sounds like I actually can build songs and not just loops, which is rare for me because everything else that I make is pretty much just a loop that I bring in different parts and drop out different parts. But I was very excited about the fact that like I was able to do this at all. Then I made this sound. I don't know what this is. Yeah, so this was like basically a combination of like everything that I have been picking up over the past few years music wise. So like the technique of building this was I made one chord progression and then figured out another chord progression and built all that before I really built out the song. So that's something that I picked up from a YouTube video. Doing different voicings for chords was something I picked up from my piano lessons. The actual initial first round of chord progressions was something else I picked up from a video about how to play chord progressions for Summer Walker type beats. And I kind of just took like it's literally just 100 different reference points boiled down into one thing. It really is like I really love the exploration of music and really trying to figure out different ways to do stuff. But yeah, this is like, and this is literally like 300 different reference points that are all making this song, because like each individual thing was something different, was a different experience from something that I just learned or that I've heard or that I just accessed. So like even like using my equipment that I have, like this sound is literally from this this sound is literally from this keyboard right here. Like this is an analog synthesizer. And I don't use it all the time, but like being able to use it occasionally and add it into songs is great. Like I said, I built this sound in Serum. So like just literally 100 different points of information that I just learned. This is literally just white noise that I just threw in here to like make it feel like it's going somewhere in the song. To all these things. I mean, I can break it down too. So, like I was saying, I started with like this chord progression. Like I just kind of like built this initial chord progression. Basically, literally, I watched a video where they were talking about how to make a Summer Walker type beat, and they talked about the way that the chord progressions work a little bit, and it made zero sense to me in the moment. And that was like 2 or 3 months ago, or 4 months ago maybe, that I watched this video. And that experience back then mixed in with me taking piano lessons now, and my piano teacher telling me to start learning inversions of different chords. And basically, just a side note, what an inversion is basically taking the same notes, so like that 1-3-5 that we were talking about, and then just moving them around. So instead of playing them in the order of 1-3-5, try 3-5-1, or 5-1-3, or 5-3-1, which would be very wide voicing. But yeah, so just like changing the order of the notes around. And I tried that, and I was like, oh, like that's cool. One thing that I did, and this rewinds back to even like a couple years ago, I was trying to learn how to play this. I think it was a Clark Sisters song, a gospel song. because they have some like really dope chord progressions in their music. And I noticed that like the chord progressions that they were playing didn't really require them to move around the piano that much. Like, they were all just like logical steps to the next chord where your hand barely has to move. And it's because they're playing different inversions of those chords. And that was cool, but I still did not actually apply that until right now because my piano teacher told me about it. So it's like this whole background of like just random experiences. That's how I make most of my music anyways. It's just like my experience of information that I picked up from watching a lot of videos on different stuff, or just messing around with different ideas, or just listening to music, and then pulling that into my music and having all these different points of reference for where I'm getting these ideas from, and throwing them into a pot, mixing it up, and then calling it Nazario. Or actually, I'm not gonna say the name of my other project that I'm considering working on, but yeah, but calling it Nazario. So that was kind of that, and then this part, that was kind of a little bit of music theory. Like, I've been like watching videos on how to like actually like understand pop chord progressions and stuff like that. So basically, I think this chord progression was initially like, that's a 1. Don't remember what that chord is. I think it was like, yeah, like this is like the first, this is in the key. That's not in the key. That's in the key. Something like that. But I don't remember all the details because, like I said, I'm not really like a music theory expert or anything like that. But I got all that. And then like I kind of figured out what key I was in. And then I figured out what other chords I could play to like lead it into something else. And then I was like, okay, the other thing that I've been like, that I learned somewhere in life is to contrast rhythms. So I started with this chord progression where there's a lot of space, and this is the verse. So there's like a lot of like movement, there's a lot of rhythm to it, and there's openness. So then I was like, okay, well, that's what the verse sounds like. If I want the chorus to sound different, so I could do the same thing with the chords in the I could do the same, like the same rhythm with the chords in the chorus, or instead of doing short notes, I could play long notes. So I just literally just played long notes. And you can see like I'm not really moving that far away from each note. And I'm not gonna lie, this note was actually up here. I just moved it down because it sounded better that way. And I actually probably looped this a couple times. I probably only played this right once and then just repeated it a few times. And then added these last 2 chords. I sat there and figured out what these last 2 chords would be for the chord progression. And I was like, okay. And then that leads me back into the verse. And that's literally all I built. So I just spent time making that. So once I figured out my chord progressions, I made this super basic drum pattern. Nothing really special. And I just clicked this in on my Akai, on my not Akai push, on my push 2. And that was kind of like what I was making. That was actually what I built first, and then I was playing the keys to it. So I had these 2 things going. Come on. My computer's starting to spaz out. I don't know why. Just do what I asked. So I just kind of built that. And then for the next part with the chords right there, I technically had this drum pattern still playing. But I wanted to feel like it had a little bit more direction. So I just did 4 on the floor kicks for the verse, for the chorus. ideas down. And I did that, and I only played these chords through once, basically. Oh, hey. What's up, Chris? You became a trendsetter fan. I appreciate it. You're the first ever member of my channel. Shout out to you. Yeah, and also check out. I think, Chris, are you still doing your podcast? I think I saw that you posted a new episode. When was that last episode that I saw? But yeah, shout out to Chris. First member of my channel, legendary status. He gets the green message, the green dots. Yes, so I'm gonna let you plug your podcast, and you can tell people what your podcast is about. But yeah, while you're doing that in the messages, I'm just gonna keep on going through this track and breaking down what I did with like the music production and stuff like that. Oh, not the whole track. So yeah, I built that, and I did not play these chords twice. Like I said, I kind of just copy pasted the chord progression into this, and I just went through sounds that I had made. I don't remember making the sound at all. Like, I'm pretty sure I made this on a day. There's a day me and my wife were running errands, and I was literally just thinking about music production, and I figured out how to make this sound in my head, and then came home and made the sound. And then the only thing that I did differently was I added this like this high pass filter swell on it, but I wanted it to like detune every time I let go of the notes. And it just sounds so lush and beautiful. I just love the sound of it. Oh, okay. So yeah, so Chris has a podcast. You can drop the name in the chat. I don't know if you can post links or anything. I don't think YouTube lets you post links. But I will figure out. Yeah, just put the name so people can look it up. But yeah, he had me on his podcast. We actually met when we were in a music program called Contemporary Music Center. That was in 2016. I played in his band for his songs. I played bass. Yeah, Weak Desires podcast. So definitely check that out. But yeah, I played bass in his band. I played bass in his band when we were in that program. And I also got the bass that I have now while I was in that program. The bass that totally I messed up my hand on playing last night, trying to play along to some you actually might appreciate this, Chris. I was playing around to like some rock and metal songs last night, just trying to like get back into playing bass. So I was playing, let me see if I can find my recent songs. It wasn't Oh Sleeper. Yeah, our episode was back in March. Where is it? I'm gonna find it real quick. Recently played. See what you've listened to. Oh, it's not gonna tell me what I listened to. Great. I know if I look up the Chariot, I'll find the artist I was playing along to. It wasn't. It wasn't As Cities Burn. Who was it? I don't know why I spaced on their name, but it was one of these bands that I loved in high school. Also, this is another reason that my music sounds the way it does. I have a tendency to. Oh yeah, definitely. Like I have a BeatStars that you can get beats off of. If you don't hear anything that you specifically want off of there, but you want something else, we can kind of work out like getting some customs made. It wasn't As Cities Burn. What was the name of the band? Oh, it was As Cities Burn. Okay, yeah. So I was, bro. I love Norma Jean. But yeah, it was. I was playing a As Cities Burn song. I think it was. Wasn't Lady Blue. I don't know. It was one of the songs off this album. I don't think it was 84 Sheepdog. But yeah, I was playing along the bass line to one of those songs last night. And then I started playing something else. And now all my fingers hurt. And my hand hurts. Because I haven't played bass in a while. But anyways, that's all I was trying to say in that whole thing of trying to find that band. Anyways, yeah, I built this sound. Sounds so beautiful. Sounds so soulful, as Jay-Z once said, I think. And then I added a sidechain compression. I added like a sidechain compression on it. Okay, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Message me on Instagram. Everything for me is Nazario. It's all spelled the exact same way. So you can just find me on Instagram and send me a DM so I can contact you. If you don't have Instagram, you can send smoke signals. Don't send smoke signals. But yeah, but either way, yeah, we can get in contact and work something out. So yeah, I did all that. I added this. So this is literally like just a random. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, send those over. I want to hear them. I need to actually work on actually writing. Like lyrics are trash for me right now. Like I can't write lyrics. But the reason I had that random static sound, it's actually muted. And what it's doing is causing that swelling sound on this sound. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is technically like another one of the ideas that I have. So I built that. And then I basically just took the chords, like once again, did not replay anything. Just took the chords and changed the sound and moved them around a little bit, and built and added this. Which this is a sound I made a few days ago. I've been working on synthesis, which is building your own sounds, because I'm a nerd, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to do that. And then this was just a preset bass line, a bass line that I made from a preset on Serum. And it's just playing the bass note of all the chords. And it has that sidechain compression on it, so it like has that like EDM swell sound. And then just to fill out the sound a little bit more, I just put some white noise. So that you get this so that you just get this whole that's basically how I made the track. Yeah, that's that one. I'll show you one more thing, and then I'm probably gonna hop off. This is the last track I'm gonna show you. This one is the one that I ended up making in the free studio session that I got because the guy canceled on me. Basically, I was listening to SG Lewis on my way to the studio, and he's like a pop-ish producer, EDM producer, and I was really vibing with the disco influenced tracks. So I think I made this piano chord progression. Or something. And then I just went from there. Once again, sidechain concept. And there were a bunch of instruments in the studio that I could use, so I just started grabbing instruments and just playing different stuff. And I sat there with a mic and clapped. So this is me like clapping like a bunch of times. So this is grabbed the bass that they had at the studio and just started playing it. They had a tambourine. They had a shaker. They had bongos that I didn't know how to play. But I was like, they got it. I got a mic. Let's do this. And then you just got a track that makes you want to dance. But anyways, it is almost, oh wow, it's like almost midnight. So I need to sign off so I can get some rest and go to bed and wake up for work in the morning. But yeah, for everyone that tuned in and watched this live stream, thanks for joining. That was supposed to be looping while I talk because I thought that would be a cool ending. Okay, there we go. Now let's try that again. So anyways, for anyone that tuned in and watched, thanks for watching. I appreciate the views. I appreciate the conversation. It was a great live stream. Like I said, best live stream I've had to date. Welcome to the Trendsetter fan, day one. Chris, great talking to you. Make sure you guys check out his podcast, Weak Desires. I think I said that right. Was it Weak Desires? Yeah, it was Weak Desires podcast. Especially if you like more like heavy music, like metal or rock or anything like that, like more rock oriented music. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will be doing another live stream next week. I'm gonna be stalling on making videos by just doing more live streams. So I might just do some live streams where I'm just talking like we did today. I'm trying to do them every Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe so that you can get the notification when I go live. I think you might need to hit the notification bell for that to actually happen. So definitely consider doing that if you haven't yet. And I will catch you in the next one. See ya.